This season is not gonna go well. Hey babes, welcome back to the channel. I pray you cannot hear me washing clothes in the background, but if you can, I'm so sorry. I just really wanted to get this video out because I have so many thoughts and I just want to share them with you guys and see if we're on the same page, because I feel like anybody who watches my channel, they probably think like me just a little bit. So I just want to see you guys' opinions in the comments. So as you can see by the title of this video, I'm going to be giving my personal commentary on season 9 of Love is Blind. And as you can tell by the title, I really think they should throw this whole season away, because there's nothing good about the couples. There was nothing good about the time they had in the pods. And so if you want to hear my commentary on it, just stay tuned. Okay, so first, I have watched pretty much all the episodes up until next week where they do the weddings. So I'm kind of just going to go through each couple and give my like tidbits about their relationship and up until this point how I feel about them. You know, I want to start with the couple who didn't even make it to the honeymoon. Literally the day after they reveal, everything fell through. And that is going to be Patrick and Casey. Now their time in the pods, it was really cute, but I could tell that Casey was giving herself a bit of a challenge to date an Asian man. She had never dated an Asian man before, and even though her brothers and sisters and her family were dating outside of their race, she did not strike me as the type of person that wanted to date outside of her race. She really didn't. And then with Patrick, he's only dated white women, and I'm sure he can get a feel that Casey was a white woman, and so he was like, okay, this is cool. Now I did feel bad for Patrick because he had another very, very strong connection in the pods, and that was Anna. Now Anna was also an Asian American who tended to date outside of her race, white Americans. And so when they were in the pods and they were making this strong connection and they were literally about to get engaged, Anna ups and leaves the show. Now Anna said she left in like subsequent interviews because she felt like her family didn't understand why she was doing the show, and she was like stressing them out. Also, the connection she had with Patrick was something she had never experienced before, and she wasn't sure if they got engaged, if they would make it to the wedding. Like maybe she felt like maybe they were just more friend vibes. But I'm like, why did it weird her out that she was connected to another Asian American who only dated white people because of their location? Like, of course you guys had a lot of similarities. That's why people tend to date inside their race, because you have a lot of familiarity there. So it shocked me that she was so astonished by the connection she made with him that was a part of the reason why she left the show, because things were about to get so serious. But anyway, he ends up proposing to Casey, which was definitely his second choice. And the day of the reveal, if I can, I'm going to upload some clips of how the reveal went. But the day of the reveal, you could tell she was not pleased with him. I don't care how many times she said, you know, you're so handsome, you're this, you're that. She was not pleased with him. And you could tell she was kind of stiff on him. She was kind of standoffish. And whenever someone does that at the reveal, it's almost pathognomonic for the fact that they do not like them physically. That was their visceral reaction when they saw them, is like, I'm not attracted to you. And that's what she gave me when she saw Patrick. And now what was so funny though is like the day after the reveal, they're staying at the hotel that they're going to be at for the honeymoons. She comes down and tells the producers, I don't feel my attraction for Patrick growing anymore while we're on the honeymoon. So I just need to tell him that it's going to be over. Now, when Patrick get down there, she needs a Academy Award. She get down there crying. She crying. Oh, Patrick, I still love you. Patrick is so confused. He's like, oh, we can date outside of the show. We can meet up with each other back in Colorado. Like, you know, we don't have to go through with all this. We can still date. She's like, no, Patrick, you don't understand. I love you, Patrick. You don't get it. And now when she go in and tell the producers, it's all because of the way he looked. But when she saw him in person, none of it was because of how he looked. She needs an Academy Award because it was all because of how he looked. And she did all that kissing and cuddling and just all of that to make him feel better about himself, when she knew literally it was his physical looks that she was not attracted to. That was so messed up. But yeah, that was the first couple that really showed me, okay, this season, it's not gonna go well. They didn't even make it to the honeymoon. So now let's move on to the second couple I want to talk about, Joe and Madison. Joe also did this thing at the reveal where he was very standoffish with Madison, and he didn't seem like he was attracted to her, but he kept going through the process, which I was shocked by, because at every instance when they met up with the other singles, when they were in the hotel together, in every instance you could tell he did not really like her. And it was so sad because she was like head over heels for him. She was so attracted to him, you know, but you could just tell he wasn't attracted to her. And I think in the moment she couldn't see that, but later on in the episode she does realize he's not attracted to her. One thing about Madison that I thought was so courageous for her to go on the show is that she had retinitis pigmentosa, which is like an eye disease that basically can lead to blindness. and she wanted to see what love would feel like basically when she can no longer see her partner anyway. And so that was such an honorable reason to go on the show. That's why I was really hoping and praying whoever ended up with her, they understood the seriousness of her diagnosis. They understood that she would need someone to lead her in life physically as well, like literally guide her from place to place. And so I was hoping whoever she ended up with, they would get married, and he would be so in love with her that when she started to lose her eyesight, it would not bother him at all. In hindsight, maybe this, you know, the experience was good for her, but maybe the show overall was not, because I feel like it's hard to find a man who's known you for 2 weeks, who's willing to marry you for the next 60 years, knowing that eventually you will lose your eyesight. It's kind of hard to find a man who would do all that. But I do think why she came on the show was very honorable. Now, Joe, he seemed like an honorable guy, but maybe he came on the show for ulterior reasons, like ulterior motives. He wasn't attracted to her, and for the life of me, I could not figure out why he was stringing this girl along instead of just being honest with her, because so many couples had done it before him. It's just be honest. Like, in the whole, like, the cast can tell, I can tell, just be honest. You don't have to string her along, but he still did anyway. And now in some of the latest episodes, he got to a place where he was doing the tux fitting, and he was just like, yeah, whatever, I'll wear this, I'll wear that. Oh, I don't need it to be fitted, I don't need to be this. And he said at that moment he realized, like, reality is setting in. I'm actually about to marry this girl in like a couple weeks, and I can't do it, basically. And so in that same episode, he ends up going home and telling her, like, he doesn't want to be with her anymore. He doesn't want to go through with the wedding anymore. And see, if he had done it in the beginning, it wouldn't have been as hard to hear. But since he waited until basically before the weddings to say, I don't want to be with you, that's so hard to hear. That's like, you can't fathom it now. And she was so heartbroken. It was such a sad episode to watch. She was so head over heels for him. They had met each other's families. Everyone had given the stamp of approval. So for him to now feel like this was real, after all of that, you now feel like this is real, and you break up with this girl before the weddings? That's just unheard of. That's just so selfish. So selfish. So they're at a point now where they're not gonna make it to the altar, which is sad to see, but I felt like that was gonna happen. So now let's get to another couple who also recently figured out they're not gonna make it to the altar. Annie and Nick. I don't know why Annie was so smitten by Nick. Nick, like everybody said on the men's side and the women's side, he seems so calculated to me. He seems so rehearsed. His voice even sounds robotic. Like, to me, I was not attracted to him from the get-go. Looks, or even his voice in the pods. Like, he just sounded too scripted. And I'm just like, how can you fall in love with somebody who doesn't sound like they have any emotions behind what they're saying? But yeah, him and Annie met each other, smitten. This is one couple I was like, oh yeah, they're going through the honeymoon. They're going to get to a very far stage, because when they first seen each other, when those doors open, they couldn't keep their hands off each other. They're just kissing. Oh, you look so good. You look so good. Look better than I thought you would. All these type of things. So I was like, okay, they're going to make it through to a certain stage in the game for sure. But I will say something I noticed is, like, when Annie gets a little bit intoxicated, she does tend to need a lot of reassuring that he was in this. And I don't know if it's just because of how Nick was acting toward her on and off camera, that whenever she got a little intoxicated, she felt like, okay, now reassure me that you like me. Reassure me you're in love with me. And Nick all the time would just be like, yeah, I love you. Yeah, I love you too. Yeah, I'm in this too. Yeah, but like I said, no emotion behind what he's saying. Something else that really stuck out to me is when they met each other's parents, Nick's parents went in about how sensitive he is. They literally kept saying, yeah, he's sensitive. Yes, you have to pry. Yes, anything you say, he may take offense to it. He's like a fixer. He wants to fix everything and do everything and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, why is his parents putting him in such a bad light? Who wants an overly sensitive man? And you know, up until this point, he's kind of been stone cold robotic. Like, he doesn't seem as sensitive to me, but his parents kept saying that. And in subsequent episodes, we do get to see that he is a very sensitive guy. And I guess he keeps his cards close to the chest because he knows anything you do or say will hurt me. So I'm not gonna be the one to be all out there and crazy and stuff. So then we get to episodes just like the last couple I mentioned, Joe and Madison. Annie and Nick also had the tux fittings. They went through all the way to that point well, actually they didn't. Nick told her before going to go pick out dresses that he did not want to be with her. And you got to see their blow up. Annie was so upset. She was basically telling Nick, you cannot break up with me. You cannot not go through this process with me. You cannot not get married to me. She was so upset. She was basically telling him, you can't say no to me. And then I got in that moment why Nick probably wanted to say no. Because how you gonna tell me I can't not marry you when I don't feel like we're connected, when I don't feel like this is a marriage material relationship? Like, how can you tell me I can't marry you? And she sounded a little drunk then too. So I'm kind of worried about my sister, because this relationship got her drinking too much and then needed too much reassurance. So boo, you gotta let Nick go. And that's what she did in the end. They went their separate ways. She was very upset, but I think it's for the best for both of them, because low key, very lowest of keys, I do think Nick made bad for the other team. And that's just on the lowest of keys. Because, I don't know, every time he kissed her, it was like a peck. To the point where she was like, give me more. And even then, you know, she was kind of getting kind of sloppy with it, and he was still like... So I'm just like, he didn't give me that he was physically attracted to her. And not to say you have to talk about your sex life on camera, because I get that some people don't want to do that. But I never even remember her saying like, oh yeah, we had crazy good sex. Because you know, the night everyone gets there, they always want to have a conversation the next day about how was the sex, how was night one. I don't even remember her saying that their sex was that good. But she was so smitten by him, and I have no idea why. They did not make it to the dresses, and subsequently they're not going to make it to the altar either. So then let's move on to my next couple. Speaking of drinking, I do want to talk about Allie and Anton. Now this had to be the fastest coupling in Love is Blind history. Like, literally, by the way the episodes were shot, it looked like they decided to marry each other in like the first 3 days of being in the pods. I'm like, how you know this the one in the first 3 days? If this couple makes it to the altar, yeah, Love is Blind, because in 3 days, friend, I thought you were the one. That's crazy. But yeah, in 3 days, they told each other, I think you're the one. I think you're perfect for me. As they moved in for the honeymoon phase, I think Anton realized that Allie is kind of like a pampered princess. She doesn't really want to do much. No cooking, no cleaning. She wants to have kids, but she basically wants Anton to foot the bill for everything. She doesn't feel like she should have to work for much. She still wants an allowance. She still wants to be able to live her best life, but Anton foot the bill. Why I said, speaking of drinking, Anton may be an alcoholic. Allie kind of alluded to this in one of the latest episodes of the show, but I agree with her. He drinks beers, he drinks tequila, he drinks anything he can get his hands on. He always has his gold flask. I'm just like, there is a problem with that. And he tried to reassure her like, no, if you say my drink is a problem, I'm gonna stop. I'm not gonna drink for like a week or two. Like, I want to show you that this is not a problem for me. But if when you're at home, your norm is to drink 2 or 3 beers every night to go to sleep, like, you do sound like an alcoholic. I don't think she's wrong in questioning why you're drinking so much. Is it just the stress of the show? It could be. And now he's picked up more beers and more alcohol than he normally would. But it is scary to watch your soon-to-be partner drink that much. And like, it was an episode where she went in the fridge and she's like, where are all the drinks we just had? Like, I don't know, you know, one of my buddies came over and she's like, one of your friends came? Yeah, he came up here. Well, no, he didn't come up here. I met him downstairs. We had a couple beers, like, and then they were like, well, it was a pack of 6. And she's like, I only had 2. And he's like, well, I had 3, you know, like, oh, there should be some left. But like, just the way he got defensive about it, I do think he has a problem with drinking. Now, when they met each other's friends, I thought it was so funny because one of Anton's best friends is dating someone that he's been with for about 4 months. And you could say they kind of have a Love is Blind relationship because they really didn't know each other well and they started living together, but it's been going well for them and they're in the real world. But on camera, when they had a conversation, the 4 of them, the friend was kind of hyping up the relationship, saying how, yeah, we used to be party boys basically, but now you've tied Anton down. You know, I didn't think this day would come. He was such a party guy, yada, yada, yada. Now, when they go into the bathroom, the girls off camera, so the guys can have their conversation on camera, they'll still have their mics on. And so the girl while in the bathroom was saying that, yeah, Anton and his best friends, they like to go to strip clubs. They like to spend a lot of money. And she was trying to backtrack a little bit and say, oh, but this is when they were single, you know, not while they were in relationships, but they were some really heavy party guys. And this made Allie kind of give pause because she's not into all that and she don't want her man to be into all that. Now me, I don't really care if my man goes to strip clubs. To me, it's kind of just a guy's thing to do. As long as he's not spending our rent money or our light bill money on this girl, I'm kind of fine with him going to strip clubs. and not by himself. I feel like when a man go to the strip club by himself, he there a little bit too often. But now if you and your friends going, that's different. But if I catch you at the strip club by yourself, that's a problem. She is one of those girls who don't play that, so she got a little upset and she was like, oh, we need to have a talk when we get home. I don't know why she brought it up in front of everybody, and then she didn't want to talk about it at the table, so he was like, oh, am I in trouble? What we need to talk about? We'll talk about it when we get home. Why would you bring it up in front of everybody if you don't even want to talk about it right now? I thought that was so stupid. But yeah, so far so good. They went to try on the dresses, which she looked really pretty in her dress. They tried on the tuxes. They're on their way to the altar. So there's a chance that this couple can say yes. This is one of my 50-50 couples. I think there's a chance that they both can agree to each other. If they don't, I think it's going to be Allie, the girl who says no. I think the drinking for her was like a big trigger, a big like, I don't like people with personalities or like lifestyles like that because it doesn't mesh with me. So if she does say no, I really think it has to be for the drinking. Anton, he just gives me kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out type vibes. So he could say no, but that's why they're my 50-50 couple, because they could go either way, but we shall see. Another couple that I was so like, oh, they're gonna get married, they love each other so much about, and now that they moved to a 50-50 couple, is Megan and Jordan. Now, Sparkle Megan, I hate her nickname. She did wear sparkly stuff every day in the pods, but it's like, what grown woman want to be called Sparkle Megan? I don't know, it just doesn't sound like a cute nickname. But her and Jordan met in the pods. They kind of bonded over the fact that his son has type 1 diabetes and her father died from like diabetes complications. And so she felt like this was a sign from her father that, you know, this was the relationship she should be in. I don't know why she took that one thing as like the predominant sign that this is the relationship for her or this is the connection for her, but she did. And so her and Jordan come from like way different backgrounds. Megan makes tons of money. I don't know exactly what she does, but I'll find that out, and in the next episode maybe I can talk about it. But she makes tons of money. They were going to look for houses, and she's like, I want something in the 1.5 to like 2 million range. And Jordan drives a Kia and has a son, and he's like, you know, this is just way too much house for us. I don't think we need all of this. Blase. So to me, I think they're gonna clash. They just come from two different sides of the track. But she seems to be so willing to meet Jordan where he's at, and Jordan is very infatuated by her. That's why I think, you know, they're in love with each other so much. Love may conquer all in this situation, and they may go ahead and get married at the altar. I think they did make it to the dress fittings. They did make it to the tux fittings, and he was all in. He literally said at the tux fitting, she would have to slap my son in the face for me not to want to marry her. So that lets me know we're getting closer to the wedding. You're still in like that. You should be saying yes. But now they did have an on-screen argument where apparently Jordan comes home from his job where he talks to people all day. And I guess he likes to sit in silence for quite some time. And Sparkle Megan, I feel like she's at home a lot. So when he gets home, she wants to talk and interact and do all these things. And he's basically telling her, listen, I need some decompression time. I'm not going to want to talk to you every time when I get home. I'm not going to want to engage in conversation. I'm just not going to want to. And she's like, hello, like there's times where I want you to go with me to events or I want you to meet my friends. There's times where you're gonna have to talk to me after work. So I hope this is not gonna be an issue. Like I want to interact with my partner when he gets off of work. And so I thought that was a weird argument to be talking about somebody being tired when they get home from work. But I could see it being an issue if it's every day consistently when you get home from work. You're like, oh, I'm too tired to interact with you. I'm too tired to talk. I'm too tired to watch a movie. I don't want to talk about your day. That would be annoying because it's like my partner doesn't care about me. So I get her feelings. I get her sentiments in that way. But this is a couple that I feel like may say yes at the altar. But I think it would be short-lived once the cameras are off, to be honest. Because they're only connected because his son has type 1 diabetes. That's not enough for me. But like I said, she's very willing to come down off her pedestal and be with Jordan. So we'll see. They moved to a 50-50 couple. I don't know if they're gonna say yes or no. Now let's get to Calabria and Edmund. You know, it's just so much I could say about this couple, but I don't want to be rude in any way to either one of them. I don't want to be rude, but this is my channel and I do want to do commentary from my heart. And so the way I feel is Edmund is not ready for a relationship. Edmund is very immature. Edmund has a lot of trauma that I feel like he masks by trying to be happy and try to put a smile on his face. And when the cameras come on, apparently he turns into a different person. And I just don't think he's really to be married to anybody. He hasn't dated in a long time, let him tell it. So I don't think he's ready to be married. And his story is like he grew up in foster care, so he came from like rags to riches. Basically, he has a master's degree, he does real estate, so he's really turned his life around. But in the scenes where they met each other's family, of course we met his mother, and she was trying to make it seem like she does so much for her kids and she sacrificed so much for her kids. And it's like, your son literally said he was raised in foster care, so when did you sacrifice and when did you try to put forth the effort now that he's an adult? And I have to like give him kudos, because I could not, if my mother did to me what his mother did to him when he was younger, it would be no way I could forgive her and let her be a part of my life. But he has done that, and so kudos to you, Edmund, for doing that, because I wouldn't and I couldn't. And then yeah, he just has some flaws about him. I don't know, people who are overly nice, overly sensitive, I guess if you're too much of anything, that kind of make me weird, because it's like, why? What's not healed in you to make you feel like anything I say should upset you? So the conversation that's playing in my head is when the first, maybe second night of the honeymoon, everyone had already talked about how they had sex with a partner. Edmund was asking Calabria, you know, why haven't we got to that point where we're intimate yet? And Calabria said, I want to save that for the wedding night. Understandable. But now something where I kind of agree with Edmund is, she says she's had a lot of one night stands. She did say it was in her past, like 5 years ago, I had one night stands. Like, if I don't care about you, I can have sex with you the first night. Which I feel like a lot of women feel that way. If I don't really have an emotional tie to you, I don't really care about you, as sad as it is to say, I can have sex with you with no problem, because it's like, I don't care where this goes after. But if it's a man you really care about, you make them wait. And so that's what Edmund was getting at. It's like, why do I have to wait when I'm about to be your husband? But people you didn't even care about, didn't think twice about, got to hit on the first night. That just sounds crazy. And it does sound crazy out loud, but I know a lot of women like that. And eventually Edmund did get past that fact and say, you know what, you want to save it to the wedding night, I understand why, let's do it. But the fact that he cried and there was a whole argument about her wanting to save her body is just kind of like, come on, Edmund. Don't let that bother you. And then they had an argument recently when they were at this snowmobile. And she was driving the snowmobile. He behind her, holding her like they're on a motorcycle or something. I'm like, shouldn't the man be driving? Why you so... Anyway, but she drive. They get to the end where they have a break. She go get them some coffee. And she was like, let's talk about what happened off camera. Because apparently off camera, before that, he had through this whole fit. He didn't want to talk to her and all these things. And then when the camera come on, it's like, oh, babe, let's do this snowmobile. I'm so excited. I'm so happy. And it's like, why are you flip-flopping like that? Like, why when the cameras come on, you want to present yourself a different way when we just had an argument and I can't fake it? She said so many times, I can't fake it. I can't fake it. And I respect people like that. Like, don't fake being happy when you're not, because then it just builds up resentment and then the relationship is going to implode, basically. So I'm happy she got it off her chest. And he was like, I am sorry. He's been apologizing a lot. Now, one thing I can say about Calabria, she gonna get her apology. That man say I'm sorry in almost every episode. And it's just like, at some point, it seems to be kind of frivolous things that she wants him to apologize for. But he does it. He comes back with an apology, and she's like, okay, I have hope. You know, maybe this marriage will make it to the end, whatever. There are a couple that I think is going to say no, shockingly. I think she's put up with a lot of his antics throughout the show. I think he's like understanding a deeper part of himself. I do think they're helping each other grow, but I don't think they should be married. You know, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, yes, opposites attract. Yes, you can pull your partner up, but who wants to marry somebody who you feel like you have to help them grow? You guys are the same age. Both of them want to have kids soon. So I just don't feel like they should get married. Maybe still be friends for sure, you know. But I think the relationship has run its course. I would be shocked if they both said yes to the altar, to be honest. I think they should say no. I've only seen her blow up a few times on camera, but I have to applaud her for the things he's done. Like, the things he's been overly sensitive about, the way that he's made her feel in the public settings when they're around the other couples. Like, she's dealt with a lot that I would not deal with a man who, like, I'm not completely attracted to. Now, granted, I don't know how attracted she is to Edmund, because she does call him cute. She does kiss him whenever she can, you know, all these things. She's always encouraging him. But it's like, does she find him physically attractive? I'm still kind of iffy on that. Or is she just doing it because she does have a love for him and she's trying to see if that physical attraction grows? I don't know. But Calabria and Edmund are a special couple, and I want them to say no, but if they did say yes, so be it. Okay, guys, I really think that's all the couples. I'm on my computer because I had to see their names, because some of them might be forgetting their names. But yeah, the season really should be thrown away, because even before making it to the altar, I can already tell you love is not blind. Half of these people are going to say no. Half of these people should not have even been together. I think half of them just like I feel like it's somewhere in their contract. Once you get to this part of the show, you have to keep going into the wedding now. Like, I feel like you can't just back out of it. But apparently 2 couples did, so my theory is wrong about there being something in the contract about them staying around for each other. But yeah, I just can't imagine being with someone that I'm not physically attracted to, because I feel like you do build that emotional and mental connection in the pods, but the physical attraction plays a huge part too. So if you're not physically attracted to a person, there's no way I would marry them. Or if you're getting to the wedding day and you haven't fallen in love with them, there's no way I would marry them. You're just like setting yourself up for divorce. So that's been my commentary on season 9. I made it to the point now where it's basically just the wedding, so we'll see who gets married and who doesn't, and I'll definitely come back with my opinions on that. You guys heard who I think should and shouldn't, some people who didn't even make it to the altar, so let's see who actually says yes at the altar. Predicting 0 people will say yes at the altar. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you like this series where I give commentary on shows that I'm watching. You guys should know I'm in love with The Real Housewives. I'm in love with all type of like Love is Blind like type shows. I don't know, I love shows like this, so I'm always watching them. And I was like, I need to put to use the fact that I sit here and watch TV so often. Like, I need to share my opinions with other people, because especially when I started watching this season, I was like, yeah, I gotta tell somebody, because this is crazy. And none of my friends really watch Love is Blind, so I guess I have you guys to talk to. But again, thank you for staying tuned to the end of the video. I will come back next week, right? Yeah, I'll come back next week with my thoughts on the weddings. Until then, bye babes.